Hi, everyone. My name is Keisha Nzewi. I'm with the California Child Care Resource and Referral Network. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to especially follow the child care providers who spoke so eloquently about their experience in trying to apply for these grants this year. So 3 weeks ago, the R&R Network put out a survey to child care providers throughout the state about their experience with applying or not applying for the minor renovation and repair grant. And we closed it a week ago, so it was open for 14 days, and we got nearly 3,000 responses. And there were responses from, I think, all but one county in the state. So it's really widespread, though the concentration of responses come from places you would expect. What we found was that one, this was a very, of those who responded to our survey, they were very educated. They had at least some college. Nearly 90% had at least some college, all the way up to PhD. So these are folks who, whether or not they spoke English, because many obviously spoke other languages, we offered the survey in Spanish, English, traditional Chinese, Farsi, and Russian. And we had responses in every language. That everyone has education, but everyone found this application to be extremely difficult to navigate and understand. It was very long and confusing. That's a quote. And so I just wanted to put that out there to show that this was clearly, again, very long and confusing process for people. But what jumped out at us as to what was the most difficulty was a theme of time. People who, whether they completed it or not, the challenges around it was time enough to complete it, time enough to find a contractor, time enough to find bids from that contractor, time enough, I feel like there was one other time, but whether or not they completed it, those were the complaints. Additionally, having access to the application in their language and having access to the application without having to go online. So having a paper application would have been helpful for many providers. So I wanted to share also, much to what Banu and Jessica shared, is that those who did find help, they found help at their local R&R, their local child care association, or the Child Care Providers United, the union. So those were the almost equally a third of people who responded founded their help in one of those three places, in addition to others, but those were the most often places people went for help. So with that, one more point of data point is that those who actually completed an application were more likely to have higher household incomes. They were more likely to speak English. They were less likely to be Black or Native American. So those are just some demographics of those who did complete it. And so based on that, we have some recommendations. Because as Erica just mentioned, this fund has existed before. It has funding now. It's going to continue to have funding, and hopefully it will continue to have funding forever. However, it may come and go. So no matter what process they use in the new year for selecting awardees, the fund will always exist. And so these recommendations will always be relevant. Language was a big deal. So applications need to be available in at least 5 languages statewide, but more appropriately, it should be available in the top 5 languages that are spoken in each county in California. Before the RFA is even developed, all of these organizations that I mentioned, plus many others who are experts in childcare, should be collaborated with to develop the RFA, so that the RFA is clear, concise, and in plain language without the use of legalese and jargon. And then those organizations that providers clearly turn to because they trusted them for help should be trained in advance to provide technical assistance and paid for providing that technical assistance. Timelines for the completion need to be realistic and take into account the time needed for a small business owner to compile and complete the required components. Available technical assistance should be communicated to potential applicants regularly, including by language accessibility. It should be made clear that technical assistance is available to everyone who needs it, with clear instructions on how to access it. And those organizations that provide technical assistance should be able to do it, should make it available during non-business hours, should do it by webinar, in person, individual technical assistance by phone, or utilizing technology that allows for a shared screen and in all of the necessary languages. And then there should also be the option for a paper application, for someone to request a paper application. And when they receive that application, that it includes a already postage paid return envelope. So that is what, those are the quick, this data is all very new. Like I said, we closed it a week ago. And so those are the quick recommendations and conclusions that we've made and will continue to advocate for through this budget season. And also many of these things do not require legislation to occur. So we'll be advocating with DSS to just change the way of doing business.